Well, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I heard the distinguished speakers talking about Israel, and they couldn't recognize the picture of the country that they know. I want to tell at the beginning, it's very difficult when a democratic country has to confront an illegal terroristic group. Whatever we do is being photographed. Whatever they do, nobody sees. For example, when you throw a rocket on a settlement in Israel, it's not being photographed. You cannot see the mother trying to defend her child the whole night and have a sleepless night. Did you ever saw on television a sleepless night? I have much respect for you, Mr. Prime Minister, but I must put things as they really are. Let me start with democracy, first of all. Who was elected by the Palestinians? Not Hamas, but Mr. Abbas, who is called Abu Mazen. 62% of the Palestinians voted for him to be the president of the Palestinian people. And we negotiate with him. Hamas participated in the elections, but they have a very unique idea about democracy. They think a democracy is a story of 1 day in 4 years. You go through the elections. After the elections, you can start to shoot and kill and threaten. Finished. Democracy is not a matter of elections. It is a civilization. And I want to contradict your words by quoting from the Hamas. I wouldn't go into inner Arab stories. But Hamas concerns us. Hamas published a charter. Let me just read 2 lines, 3 lines from it. From the Hamas charter. The day of judgment will not come about until the Muslims kill the Jews, when the Jews will hide behind stones and trees. There is no solution for peace initiative, proposals, international conferences are all a waste of time. This is an official charter. I don't know about which Hamas are you talking. Now, about the proportions. In the last 8 years, I hate to say it, but since you mentioned it, let me give the other picture too. Israel lost 1,167 lives from terrorists. 8,500 were wounded. It wasn't done in 20 days. It was done in several years. We restrained all the time. And then, since the last 4 years, when Hamas took over Gaza, 5,500 rockets and 4,000 mortars, shells, were fired upon civilian life in Israel at random. They didn't care if it's kindergarten, if it's... We didn't answer. For that reason, the ceasefire idea, Mr. Prime Minister, is very strange in our views. We never started fire. And we told the Palestinians time and again, don't fire, there won't be fire. We are not two equal parties at all. We never started. And who renewed, who broke? By the way, we didn't have a formal agreement about the ceasefire. They announced, and the Palestinians said, it's over. No, they broke it. And when the Prime Minister was at your place 4 days before the operation started, the government of Israel didn't yet decide to take actions against it. Now I want you to listen, because you watch all of your television, I can understand your feeling. Israel left Gaza completely, no occupation. We took out all of our soldiers from Gaza, all our civilians. People are talking about settlements. We took out from Gaza all the settlements and all the settlers, 15,000 of them. Nobody forced us. It was our own choice. We have had to mobilize 45,000 policemen to bring them back home at the cost of $2.5 billion. I want to understand, why did they fight rockets against us? What for? There was not any siege against Gaza. All the passages were open. Not only that, we participated in investing money in Gaza to develop an agriculture. We have a Peres Center. We ourselves put in $20 million, sorry, to build greenhouses, to develop strawberries, the export of strawberries, excellent strawberries, flowers. Jimmy Wolfson, who was a representative of the quartet, took from his own pocket $5 million also to participate in it. They destroyed it. Why? They bombed all the passages. Why? Why did they fire at us? What did they want? We didn't occupy. There was never a day of starvation in Gaza. By the way, Israel is the supplier of water daily to Gaza. Israel is the supplier of fuel to Gaza. The only thing we didn't permit to bring in is rockets from Iran. And they build tunnels to do it. And you know, we also have women and children, and they want to sleep at night. You know what it means? Every day, almost 100 rockets falling at random. 1 million people have had to be under shelter. They came to the government and says, what happened to you? We want to have security. Why do you permit to happen it? And I want anybody telling me clearly what were the reasons for the attack. What were the purposes of the attack? Peace. We made peace with Egypt. Not by arms, by agreement and negotiation. And we met all the requests of Egypt. We made peace with Jordan, the same. We gave back all the land, all the water. We opened with the Palestinians and we told them that we are for a Palestinian state. I started in Oslo against a majority maybe of our people who didn't agree. And all the time, you know, Mr. Prime Minister, you have had to wait because many buses that came from the West Bank to Jerusalem were full of dynamite. I was then Prime Minister, I saw it with my own eyes, the blood and the bodies. You know, I don't have to watch television. And when I came in, there were thousands of people shouting at me, traitor, killer, look what you did to us. You must. There are many details that you have to know. Israel is 60 years old. Do you know any other country that in 60 years has had to go through 7 wars, 2 intifadas, an ongoing boycott? What? Why? And in spite of it, we made peace with Egypt. I have the highest respect for President Mubarak. By the way, President Mubarak accused Hamas, not us. And President Mubarak knows the situation not less than you, Mr. Prime Minister. And President Abbas knows the situation not less than you do. And he accused Hamas, not us. And then mothers and children came to the government and says, what will happen? 1 million people every night have had to hide themselves in shelters. Mothers with sleepless nights. What do you really mean? By the way, I never saw anybody demonstrating against those missiles. That was okay? Nobody said a word. And we didn't answer. A day in, a day out, a year in, a year out. There is a limit to it. And by the way, and I have much respect also for the Secretary General, who used to be, and I hope he's still a friend. I appreciate very much the Arab initiative. But there is a problem in it, and I don't want to hide it. The problem is not the Arab world. The problem is the Iranian ambition to govern the Middle East. They supplied the rockets to Hezbollah. They supplied the rockets to Hamas. They are controversial in the Arab making. And you know what? We didn't have a choice. The leader of Hezbollah, Nasrallah, says, would I know that Israel will react so strongly, we wouldn't start it. Thank you very much. And then come Mashal, the leader of Hamas, and said, Israel reacted too strongly. What did he expect us to do? I don't understand. What would any country do? What would you do if you would have on Istanbul every night 10 rockets or 100 rockets? And we never gave up. All my life, as you said, Mr. Chairman, I appreciate, I'm fighting for peace. What we did is not the thing that we wanted to do. It's not our choice. Our choice is peace. What we did is because the lack of a choice. We weren't left with a choice. Would you go for such a convention to kill the Jews? Okay, those are words. But to kill the Jews and send rockets to kill them. What do you want us to do? I started to negotiate with Mr. Arafat. I must respect. It wasn't simple. The PLO was at the beginning a terroristic organization. Mr. Arafat agreed to stop terror and go to negotiations. By the way, whatever was achieved positively was achieved not by rockets, not by force, not by power, but by negotiation. It takes time, it takes time. It's a very complicated country. It's a small country with 3 religions, with a lot of history, with different ethnicities. It's not simple. We made peace once, twice. Now we are negotiating with the Palestinians. There was a crisis among the Palestinians. We don't intend to be the one that decides if the Palestinians will be united or not. As long as Hamas did not rebel against the Fatah, it wasn't our business. We didn't say a word. You know what? I'm talking about Israel. Look what the people of the Palestinian people, the Secretary General of Fatah is saying about Hamas 3 days ago. His name is Asser Abed-Rabo, a person that they know and respect, who is the Secretary General of the PLO Executive Committee. And I quoted him. I quote him 3 days ago. Hamas has turned Gaza schools, mosques, all universities into centers of detention, interrogation, and torture. Dozens have been shot in the legs, beaten savagely, and had their bones broken. Hamas only to support broken. Hamas plundered trucks, bringing and distributes it only to the food, only to the supporters of their movement. They didn't give food to the people of Fatah. They killed 100 leaders of Fatah in full daylight. They throw them from the roofs. What do they really mean? Is that a matter of definitions? Israel does not want to shoot anybody. For us, all children are as important as one can think of. I created a Peres Center. All the money we have collected went to the cure of children, Palestinian children. They didn't have insurance, they didn't have hospitals. In 5 years, we brought to Israel 5,500 Palestinian children and their mothers to be cured. By the way, there is no hospital today in Israel that doesn't have Arab doctors. So the children could have communicate with the doctors in the Israeli hospitals. That is our choice, to touch a child. But if you put bombs in a kindergarten, and if you hide yourself behind innocent families, and before we try to shell anybody, we telephoned the people. We says, please leave the place. We don't want to hurt you. We made during those 20 days 250,000 telephone calls before we shoot. What could we do? What was our choice? And what would any government do? I'm very much sorry, Mr. Secretary General, about the United Nations building. According to our record, they start, not by your knowledge, they started to shoot from there. And by the way, when Europe bombed Kosovo, you hit the Chinese embassy. Did you want to? And hundreds of civilian people were killed in the bombing too. That's okay. So please, I want to speak clearly. Israel does not need a ceasefire because we never started a bullet, and we shall never do it. And the minute they stop shooting, there will be a ceasefire. We don't need anything else. Every moment, every day. We are not interested in fire. We are not interested in hurting or killing anybody. Now about the peace process. First of all, I want to say that it was a great move on the side of the Secretary General of the Arab League to introduce the Arab Initiative. I think that was a very positive move in a bitter history of misunderstanding and confrontations. The problems we were facing were the following. A, we started to negotiate directly with the Palestinians. President Mubarak told me, look, finish your negotiations with the Palestinians, we shall consider as the first move to an overall peace. We are negotiating, and I think we made headway in an extremely complicated issue. Take only the issue of Jerusalem. Jerusalem is not a piece of land. Jerusalem is fire. There are 3 different religions, and there are different streams in every religion. And people are fighting about every window, every door. It's easy to say, make an agreement. We are trying to find a way. We told the Palestinians that we are ready really to accept 242 and 338, which means really to return almost all of the land of the West Bank to them. Gaza we left completely. What is there to fight? So the ceasefire is, as far as it is concerned, is not a problem for us. We shall never start fire. And when they fired against us, we replied, but after a great restraint, and thousands of people were killed too. They weren't killed in a concentrated manner, so what? Doesn't matter. Now I think what we have to do, and by the way, I am for the restoration of Gaza. We have nothing. There wasn't a day that we didn't supply water and oil. I personally read every week a report about the humanitarian situation in Gaza. If something is missing, the government and myself, we are intervening to make sure there will be enough food and food. The tragedy of Gaza is not Israel. It's Hamas, who created their dictatorship, a very ugly one. And the problem of the crossing now is not because we want to control the supply of food or building material or medical. They build tunnels to bring in those missiles. And they build an underground system of tunnels where, by the way, the leaders hide themselves there and they forgot the people. I think, yes, we would like to see Gaza flourishing. Gaza is a small place with an intelligent people. When we started to talk with Mr. Arafat, we took as an example Singapore. Gaza, together with the West Bank, are 9 times larger than Singapore. In Singapore, there are more people than in Gaza in the West Bank. Today, the problem is not land, but really education. And Gaza is not our enemy, and the people in Gaza are not our enemies. And we want to live with them in peace. We don't have hatred and we don't have plans. For that reason, we left Gaza. And we are for restoring the life in Gaza, but without dictators and without shooting, not only us, but the people of Fatah.
And then,
Mr. President,
we should might end there.
And then we want to renew the negotiations with the authorized Palestinian Authority. We made headway. We want to start right away. We want to do it with the quartet. We want to do it straight away. We don't want to waste time. Our aim is peace, not war. And when we win a war, we don't consider it as a victory. For us, victory is peace, not war. We have power. We shall never use power unless we don't have another choice. And when we have a choice, we want peace. And I think that Hezbollah has learned a lesson. They stopped shooting. Nobody stopped them to shoot, but our reaction. I hope Hamas will also have a lesson. They will stop shooting and start talking. Everything that we can achieve is by talking, not by shooting. And that was, and that is, and that will remain the position of Israel.
Thank you, Mr. President.